Alright, we are now up on the roof, and here is the continuation of the star line. It just wraps right over the gutter and then runs all the way up, and this is just pallet strapping, of course, runs all the way up to the center peak of the roof. Now, I don't know if I can get a closer view of this and it'll actually show up, but there, somewhere in that picture is, it looks like right there is a little D-ring, and I wrapped the pallet strapping around the D-ring, and the pallet strapping wrapped around the D-ring is connected to another eyelet, just like it is underneath the gutter. And this was really confusing to figure out. The hardest part was finding out the total length of these strips. I had to use trial and error. Actually, not trial and error, but I hooked it up at the top first and ran the strip all the way down to the gutter, and then I cut it extra length to what I thought I needed, and then I folded it and added the D-ring. So it was easy once I had it out in front of me, but it was hard to think about how it eventually was going to go up. Now, in order to get these stars to stay up here, what I did, and I'll show you this one here because it's got the D-ring on it, I literally zip tied this D-ring to the pallet strapping using two zip ties. One, and I made an X, I formed an X with the zip ties. The star then was simply zip tied to the D-ring, and these guys aren't that heavy, so I mean, this is kind of overkill. I guess I could have wrapped a zip tie around here, taped the zip tie to it, and left a little bit of the zip tie hanging down from the pallet strapping instead of, using spending the money on the D-rings, because those are really kind of overkill. I mean, these things are light, so it really doesn't take a lot. The star line, I made its own harness. So if you wanted to do this with, oh, that come loose. If you wanted to do this with Lightorama, which is how I set this up with my controllers, which are in the center here, I just made a custom wire harness to go from the top using old Christmas light strings that run all the length of the strip. They're all zip tied together here, and then they're all bunched. You can see the cord going all the way across. And then, of course, the wire mess of Lightorama controllers. So there's the star line. The reindeer, all the reindeer got stripped last year, and I reused all my old fire sticks, the LEDs from them, and I repurposed them for all the reindeer. So the reindeer are now LED, except for Rudolph. Rudolph was brand new this year, but half of them broke. The incandescents don't want to work on the top half, so I'm going to replace him with LEDs. Here is two of my Lightorama controllers in these boxes. A little bit of ice buildup. I've used these four controllers for the past, I want to say 4 years I've used these controllers, and I built them into the bottom of these toolboxes I got from Sears. They're Craftsman boxes, and they cost $10. And I just put a couple holes in, drilled some holes, put some strain reliefs in, ran my neck wires, and I used extension cords as my pigtails, because I'm only plugging in Christmas lights after all. So that's 4 controllers. I only plan on next year having enough controllers for the reindeer and possibly the candle line, or I call these candles. These candles are actually just one set of LEDs wrapped around PVC, pretty simple. And I'll zoom in, and you can see that I inserted them on the board using a little T. It's a 1/2-inch T for PVC connection, and I screwed it right to the board. And they're just laying on the roof. There's nothing holding those down whatsoever. They're just sitting there. I think next year those will get moved up to the upper gutters, and I think I'll secure them away up there with some bigger zip ties. I think some of the crossbars across the top of the gutters, that'll work fine. Those candles that I had on the roof right there used to be these spinners, and the spinners, I didn't hook these up this year. I just threw them out here as a kind of a decoration. It worked, but I would have lit them, but it was just more programming I just didn't have time to do this year. These were very simple to make. We have 2 separate X connectors or plus connectors for 1/2-inch PVC, and I just wrapped 1 string of lights around PVC. I think these are 15 inches long, same as the other ones, and I doubled up on them and had them. These were 4 channels, and I offset, 4 channels, and I offset them. So you could probably get another one on there if you wanted to. Window frames upstairs are the exact same as the window frames downstairs. They are set up exactly identical. Over here is another dumb controller. It's the same one as on the front porch that was painted green earlier in the video. You can see instead of using 4 core connectors, I used, and this is covered with some snow, I used Molex connectors, 4-pin Molex connectors, and I got these for about 60 cents from Monoprice. And it was just an extension. It was a male to female extension cord for inside your computer case. And I filled them with, I'll see if I can get a little closer view here. I filled them with some hot glue. That's hot glue in there. And that sealed them up. I haven't had, these have been running on the roof now for the past, I want to say, 6 months or so. So backing up here, this is the second network switch. The network switch is what connects my E131 network to the back of my computer. So if I wanted to connect to my computer, I could just plug in right here. So off of this, there is 2 connections that run. One runs down to the basement, or down to the downstairs on the front porch, and the other 2 connections that are on there, one runs over here to the Joshua P2, and then the other one runs over to this control box over here, which is my E6804. This here is a exterior panel breaker box. I've got 4 breakers in here, as well as 4 outlets. So there's 4 separate outlets and 4 different breakers out here. The old display used a lot of electricity, and as I switched slowly but surely to LEDs and now to RGBs, I don't need as much power. I'm only using 1 plug now, so in that entire box. It used to be maxed out with 60 amps of power. So that's kind of how I did my 682, or 6804, that is, and this is also how I did this Joshua system. They look identical. The only difference is the controller I used in the box. The Joshua system is running my pixel spinners, which have been a huge hit. People love these, and I can do so many cool things. And then I have it daisy chained. I have 2 of them running, and they're only 40 pixels each. Here we have the wreath. The wreath is made out of 150 dumb RGBs on 2 separate channels. You can see the 2 wires going to them right there. And then above that, which I don't have a good picture because I'm standing right underneath of it, is my 2-channel star. It's not the biggest star. I have another one that I'll replace it with next year, but this was this is the one that I could quickly convert and throw up on the roof without much trouble, and I used a lot of scrap wood to make the frame. Here's a side view of the star on the roof. You can see it's just a basic square box frame. There's nothing holding it down, and it's zip tied literally to a center board there. Nothing fancy. The pixels and the icicles, the pixels, these are up on the upper roof, are from Ray. You can see the snow on the roof here prevented me, well, there was a lot more snow than this, but the snow prevented me from putting the ladder up here and be able to wrap all the way to the edge, so I just wrapped it around the gutter and hung it. And yes, that is a piece of tape at the end of the pixel. The icicle drips, those were from Gemi, and I got them from Big Lots last year. 2 of the strips failed, unfortunately, but all the upper ones on the roof work just fine. They make the really nice effect. I have this ladder up on the roof. Everybody kind of laughs at me whenever I say I keep my ladder on my roof, but if I have to hurry up and go up here and fix something, it's a pain in the butt to climb off the side of the roof, grab the ladder, climb back up onto the roof, and so I just leave it up here all winter long. I have the flood boxes that I made, and I have either a video or a bunch of pictures on my Facebook page that shows how I made these. But I bought these. These are not waterproof, and I bought them from MCM Electronics, and I paid $30 for them. They're extremely bright. I just did not have time to set them up this year. They run off of 110 volt, and they run using a DMX cable, and they have a XLR connector on the back, and they have their own addressable channel. You can change the channel for it. So in the LOR system, I was having trouble configuring them, and I said, well, it was more important to get the display running than worry about floodlights. So I put that on the back burner, and that'll be a project I'll finish up for next year. But they're done, and that's pretty much everything up here on the roof. The roof is very sparse this year. Next year, I have plans to do different things. Oh, another thing, everybody asked me, how do you keep your reindeer on the roof? And all I did, these guys aren't even weighted down. In fact, I could pick this guy up here. Well, he might be a little frozen to the roof, but you can pick him up, and those are just a 2x2 square piece of plywood and 2x4. And all I did was screw the 2x4 to it. So that was a pretty simple project. I've had the reindeer up on the roof now for 6 years, and none of them have ever blown off. There's a little eyelet at the bottom, and the reindeer is zip tied to the eyelets at the bottom. And yeah, it's a pretty easy setup.